but gone. Gone, viewers. It's evaporated. Today, Pakistan is pleading with India. If on one day their water minister is writing to Prime Minister Modi saying that Islamabad is happy to review the terms of the patently anti-India Indus Water Treaty, then their Prime Minister is pleading with Prime Minister Modi to show some mercy and begin peace talks. Listen in, viewers.
Mr. Modi, ये भाषण आप अपने पास रखें. मैं आपको इंतहाई एतमाद के साथ कहना चाहता हूं कि पाकिस्तान अमन चाहता है, अमन गदाई है. हम इस खत्ते में अमन चाहते हैं, हम तरक्की और खुशहाली चाहते हैं, लेकिन हमारी इस अमन की ख्वाहिश को कभी कमजोरी मत समझना.
Can you imagine, viewers, you're sitting in front of you're standing rather in front of a flexi board with army infrastructure that you can't show because it has been blown up. And you're talking to your troops and you're saying to them, and to them, hopefully to Mr. Modi, that you want peace. Because who stands in front of their troops and talks about peace? I don't know, but such has been the loss of face that Pakistan is now using fake props. Their Prime Minister and General Munir were posing alongside flex sheets with missiles painted on them, pretending that their military had not taken any hits. Just look at those pictures, viewers. I mean, you're not even standing at a place that is significant. I can understand if you were standing at the Noor Air Force Base saying, look, I'm right here, our planes can take off, nothing is wrong, like Prime Minister Modi did from Adhampur. He went to the forward base, he stood there, the base that Pakistan claimed that they'd blown up, and said, look around you, it's all fine. So when they're pretending, viewers, that the military has not taken a hit, they also, viewers, apart from pretending, they are peddling fake news to say that Pakistan had in fact ruled the skies, that the Air Force, the Pakistani Air Force, had distinguished itself. In fact, their foreign minister flashed the cover of a newspaper, the Daily Telegraph. Yes, viewers, saying that the world has acknowledged that Pakistan had won. But much to his embarrassment, his claim was fact-checked by Pakistan's top newspaper, The Dawn, that reported that the copy of the paper was fake. So he was addressing, viewers, the National Assembly, where he's under oath to tell the truth, and he was holding up a fake copy of a newspaper. Can you believe it, viewers? Listen to this.
और ये मैं नहीं कह रहा, ये टेलीग्राफ क्या लिखता है? Pakistan Air Force is undisputed king of the skies. Alhamdulillah.
My gosh, viewers. I mean, if I were to show you, in fact, let's show them the newspaper. If this man had read below the headline, he would have noticed that it was littered with one spelling mistake after the other. I mean, it's absurd. Look at the spelling mistakes. I mean, only in a Lahori madrasa, viewers, could they write English of this nature. Look at the spelling mistakes. They couldn't even spell Pakistan right. I mean, looking at that, you would know it's a fake, but no. Their minister, External Affairs Minister, no less, gets up and says, "Arey bhai, dekhiye, the Daily Telegraph published in the United Kingdom is giving us thumbs up." Viewers, if Pakistan is expecting a let-up from India, it is wrong. India's defense minister making it clear that India isn't finished with Pakistan just as yet. The last time he had told us that the Modi government will punish Pakistan as per the people's wishes. He wasn't bluffing. So Pakistan needs to be really worried. Listen in to Rajnath Singh.
ऑपरेशन सिंदूर अभी खत्म नहीं हुआ है. जो कुछ भी हुआ है वह सिर्फ एक ट्रेलर मात्र था. अब जब भी सही समय आएगा तो हम पूरी पिक्चर भी दुनिया को दिखाएंगे.
Puri picture. The desperation exhibited by Pakistan confirms that India has given the country a hiding. Just today, news broke that over 600 Pakistani drones were neutralized a feat made possible by the swift deployment and resolute response of the Indian Army's air defense systems. More than 1,000 Pakistan gun systems and 750 short and medium range missile systems were operationalized along the western border, transforming India's air defense network from peacetime posture to full operational readiness almost overnight. Legacy guns like the L-70, Zu-23mm and the Shilka, often underestimated in the era of high-tech warfare, proved their mettle, emerging as highly effective point defense systems against low-flying, hard-to-detect drone swarms. And once we had blocked Pakistan, we raided it by air bombing at will. The Noor Khan Air Base, the Chaklalla Mushaf Air Base, Sargoda, Murid, Chakwal, Rafiki Air Base, Shorkot, Rahim Yar Khan, Bholari. I mean, look at those pictures. The before and after pictures are so clear and so evident. And therefore, viewers, tonight we've got to ask some fundamental questions above and beyond the ones that we have been asking over the last few days. And I want to begin with General Dhillon, if he's there with us, connecting, if he can hear me. General Dhillon, you heard the Raksha Mantri. You heard him say, "Abhi picture baki hai." Now I want to ask you, sir, clearly Operation Sindoor is still on. So what do you think the RM is hinting at? What is he implying?
Good evening, Rahul, and good evening to your viewers.
Thank you, sir.
When RM says, Honorable Raksha Mantri says that Operation Sindoor is still ongoing, this only means that our war posture has not come down. Our defensive posture and our capability to hit offensive is very much intact and ready at zero notice. This is the meaning of Operation Sindoor is still ongoing, and if Pakistan does any mischief, that will be retaliated or reacted to in no time, in zero time. So that is, all our defense forces are on high alert and in the state of readiness, prepared for war. In fact, they are in war till Operation Sindoor is ongoing. Having said that, the point about the fake news or flashing of the fake news in the National Assembly, this is nothing new. It runs in the DNA of Pakistan. Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan in 2020 had tweeted fake pictures regarding UP violence, which were found out to be fake, no less a person than the Prime Minister of a country, which he later deleted. So it is okay. They have been telling lies to the public since 1947, that they won the 1965 war, they won the 1971 war, of all the things, where they had 93,000 prisoners of war, a new country crafted out of that earlier Pakistan. Still in the school curriculum books, they say 1971 war, we won. That was the time when there was no internet, there was no social media, there were no smartphones to record videos, and they could fool the public. Today, on 6th, 7th night, by first light of 7th morning, there were hundreds of videos posted online by Pakistani people of the damage Indian missile system had done to their terror network and terror headquarters. And on 10th morning, when we struck the number of airfields which you listed out, again within 10 minutes, the videos of burning Pakistan airfields were out on the internet.
True.
They can't hide these days, and everyone knows it.
So let me ask you the question,
because their claims are correct.
Yes. No. So let me ask you the question, why does Pakistan need to hide behind fake news? I mean, is the military there facing an existential crisis right now?
It is in their DNA. Telling lies is in the DNA. Everything they talk about is a lie. When they say the military is the savior of the nation, is a lie. Military is the most corrupt organization of the nation, that's the truth. When they say we will give befitting reply to India, it's a lie. In all the war, the only military in the world which has lost all the wars it has fought and won 93,000 prisoners of war, standing army, navy, air force with weapons and ammunition, with aircrafts and ships, and they surrender. They surrender 93,000 of them. Highest single campaign surrender after the Second World War. Now with this type of military disgrace, they can lie to the public that we won all the wars. And, they have been lying to the world that there are no terror camps on the soil of Pakistan.
No, I'll come to that. I'll come to that.
Anywhere in the world, if there is a terror act.
Yes. Okay. It's traced back to Pakistan. No, I'll come to that. That's an important one. I just want to bring in the Air Marshal and then come back to you, General Dhillon. Air Marshal, I have to ask you this. How exposed is Pakistan right now to India? What's your assessment? I just want, before you answer this question, listen to this soundbite. Because this is a Pakistani veteran, sir, who has said that Brahmos missiles were used by India and they struck. Now, you can lie by holding up fake newspaper reports. You don't even have the brains to check the fine print to see that they've misspelled Pakistan. You've just picked up any old thing. All those red circles and squares are spelling mistakes. Any half-literate person would realize that he's been scammed. Only in a Lahori madrasa would people write English like this. So friends, we've got a bit of a problem here. We've got a state that is lying through its teeth, trying to, I suppose, boost its own morale, wants to look bigger in the mirror when it glances at itself, but is actually quite diminished. Now, I'm going to ask the General, I'm going to ask the Air Marshal to actually put it in perspective for us, but let's listen to this soundbite. Do we have it? Let's just play that. This is a Pakistani veteran. Listen to him.
उस बेस के ऊपर 4 सरफेस टू सरफेस ब्राह्मोस मिसाइल आए, सरफेस टू सरफेस या एयर टू सरफेस, ये मुझे नहीं पता। तो पायलट्स जो हैं वो पहले दौड़े कि वो अपने जहाजों को सिक्योर करें। अच्छा। और जैसे पहला आया वो जूम करके ऊपर से दूसरा आया, फिर तीसरा आया, फिर चौथा आया, जो कि अनफॉर्चुनेटली बुलारी में डायरेक्टली आके एक हैंगर पे लगा जहां पे एक हमारा एवैक्स खड़ा था, जो डैमेज हुआ, जहां पे शहादतें भी हुई।
They're saying that they lost an AWACS. We're being told they lost a lot more. Air Marshal, what's your assessment of their damage to military hardware resources?
Phenomenal. In my appreciation, whatsoever I have seen, reading, surfing the net and understanding through the videos, the local videos which have been posted. Because there, like General Dhillon was just saying, they hound out from the system people who tell the truth. And I'm sure this Air Marshal who just covered the facts would have got a couple of calls, to tone down or to say what the ISPRs, and that is the way it is. And the damage, to the strategic assets, in my appreciation, is more damning, because the force multipliers, be it air-to-air refuelers, I heard a couple of them have been, shot down at Noor Khan, that is Chaklara, at Bolari. One of the airborne early warning has gone. Some of their storage dumps, command and control systems have gone. Their F-16s, hubs where their rotable spares, other technical repair centers has been taken out. So even if they are able to repair the runways, to bring their things back, which I'm sure would be limping back, and they would be taking stock as to what is their air launching capability now. But the strategic assets which will make a compelling difference will take some time, and it's not easy in today's age and stage to induct a new aeroplane. Even if today you order any aeroplane from anywhere across the globe, it will take minimum a year for it to be delivered if you push it ahead, because the supply line, the order chain, its delivery and operationalization, other factors, rough period is about 3 to 4 years. I'm saying at best, even if they order. So it will take some time, in my opinion, to build the strategic capability. And these force multipliers, which I just covered, airborne early warning, AWACS, and air-to-air refuelers, are essential to launch any air campaign these days.
So how, just put it in layman terms, how lame duck is the Pakistani military force right now, Air Marshal? How lame duck is it?
See, through your channel also I'm seeing, and I've read somewhere, a lot of Turkish people have heard. See, it's a new warfare in our neighborhood.
Okay.
It's a totally new warfare. And it's akin to Hamas kind of tactics today. Because if you see, today I was just reading in the afternoon, some tunnels have been, found out close to Ivy. It's continuous drone attacks, hundreds and hundreds of them throughout the night, irritating the air defense system, probing, making us open the radars, use our S-400s, making us use our guns. So this is the tactics which they use. We've heard and seen that the Chinese technicians were there to help them assemble the weapons and other things. And a few Turkish airmen have died in the strike at Bolari. So but they hush it up. And like General Delhi was saying, कि इनके खून में है झूठ बोलना. मतलब there is absolutely nothing, and they just play straight face. They tell you, the straight face. And I was amazed on the 11th when the ceasefire was agreed to, or cessation of hostilities for some time. They are distributing sweets in Lahore and other cities. They have won. Their prime minister and others are standing, and so they are in a continuously denial mode.
Okay, so if they are so lame duck, I want to come back to General Dhillon. If they are so lame duck, if they were so depleted, let's put it like that, General Dhillon, what do you make of the decision then to immediately go in for a temporary cessation of military action by India? I mean, somewhere the soldier in you must have said we should have pressed on for a few more days.
Rahul, as Air Marshal Kapoor was saying, the number and extent of damage to their assets, including the strategic assets, a country who claims to be such a big military power, within 3 days, we started the targeting of terror camps, terror bases on 7th early morning.
Yes.
And on 10th morning, we could hit all their air bases at will. If a country's air defense and the air force can be grounded within 3 days of operations, that too not full-scale operations. Air Marshal Kapoor is an expert on this. Not even full-scale air operations, and your air force and air defense is grounded to the extent that our missiles were going uninterrupted. Now that is the might of Indian Air Force and Indian Defence Forces. And that is when they realized that they have been hit so badly, and that is when, as per open media sources, at 12:37, the Pakistan High Commissioner in Delhi called up MEA for a meeting.
But should we have, I mean, if you had them, if you had your, they always say, if someone has their knee on the neck, then don't take it off, that pressure. Should we have waited for 3-4 more days? What would have, I'm not understanding this. So can you please explain to me, what was the hurry to say, okay, let's sit across the table and pause hostilities?
Rahul, we must understand, and the viewers also, a lot of questions on the same lines are being asked by the normal public. We must understand we went into this conflict with very clear terms of reference. Now, term of reference is a military term which basically means that you cannot defy these or you cannot violate these terms. And we had 3 terms of reference, which is major 3 terms of reference when we hit the terror camp or terror headquarters, that we will not hit any military installation. Second was we will not hit any civilian population. And third one was we are not going to escalate. Now these 3 terms of reference were aligned to the aim which we wanted to achieve. And being a democratic country and the military working under the democratic setup, these 3 terms of reference to the defense forces were very clear, and they were declared terms of reference. The whole world knew about it.
Okay.
We listed them out in a press release. And then when Pakistan escalated, here it's very important, I'll just take 20 seconds.
Sure.
It's very important, we did not start the war. Like 9/11, Osama bin Laden was responsible. US took him out from Abbottabad as a retaliation of the terror which happened in their homeland. US did not carry out an act of war against Pakistan. Similarly, we have a Pahalgam terror attack. We hit the terror bases and headquarters in Pakistan. We did exactly what US had done, and we did not indulge in act of war. When Pakistani missile systems and explosives and platforms crossed the line of control and international boundary with an intent to hit military and civilian targets, that is an act of war. So Pakistan escalated. It's a different thing. They never succeeded. And then when we hit their air bases, this was a demonstration of our strength. Punitive strikes, and that is only a demonstration. I'm using my words very carefully.
Okay.
We could have done much more than that.
Okay.
And that is the reason, being under the democratic setup, our aim was achieved and we did not violate any term of reference.
Okay, so let's take this conversation forward. I understand. So I think you put that, we wanted to be absolutely correct to the mission objectives that were laid down before the mission. And we have, so no one could turn around and say that you were warmongering or you were out of line. Okay, fair enough. I understand that. Now let's look at what happens next. Because this is where, and I'm going to come back to you, General, and I'm also going to come back to the Air Marshal, but I want to bring in Major Jolly. Major Jolly, fine. Now we know, and Air Marshal has told us that they are lame duck right now for a year. Yep. So what is your assessment? Because I'm already seeing the Pakistan Army and the Pakistan state back to funding their jihadis. They're giving them money. They're going to give them some 1 crore each or whatever Pakistani rupees. And India has already said that, look, if you spawn terror across the border, once more there'll be all-out war. Now, I feel this is reactive policy. Shouldn't we be preemptive? Hot pursuit across LOC, if we see a terror pad being populated, for example. Why are we waiting for them to strike? Why don't we take them? I mean, I can't understand this. Can you explain? And will that even happen? I don't know. I'm asking you. What's the next step? What do you think the Pakistani military, okay, it's fine, it's hiding behind fake news right now. But the mask is crumbling quickly. It's looking exposed, it's looking bad, it's wounded. What is the next step from their side?
Thank you, Rahul. Firstly, whatever General Dhillon and Marshal Kapoor said, I agree, but I have a little add to that these are military objectives. In India, military is executive arm of the government. The objectives that were given to us, we halted there. If the Prime Minister Modi says 12 o'clock take off, the entire Army, Air Force, Navy will take off. So the question to halt actually lies with the government, not the army per se. Secondly, I am of the firm belief, and I know it's not a popular format of war. We are not going charging from trenches, which makes for a very glamorous format. We are going for, I go back, first time I said, it's a siege warfare. We are playing a very long game. Till the time we have Indus Water Treaty in our pocket, we actually don't need to buy any kind of casualty.
Okay, I think we're having a few problems. Yeah, okay, yeah. Repeat yourself because I think we lost you there. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So what I was trying to say is that we are going by the siege warfare format, which I totally believe in. We don't have to unnecessarily get into fighting with them. They are cornered. There is no need to buy casualties. There's no need to invite their missiles. Although we can strike them down. But why raise that level of violence when we can actually take them down more efficiently by non-kinetic measures? So what the government is doing is going for a final cut, I think. This is not like we beat them once and again they start.
Okay, so final cut, would you say, and you've been an advocate of weakening the Pakistani state through this siege warfare. How can the Baloch and Pashtun insurgencies become a force multiplier? What can or should India do in that context? Because that's another front that the Pakistani army is exposed on.
So I think there was some announcement yesterday, I don't know how much that holds internationally or who all will validate it, that the Baluchistan spokesperson announced their independence.
Yeah, Mir Baluch. But he says to India, recognize us, let us open. We've opened an office for Palestinians, we've opened an office for, the Tibetans. So he says, do the same.
Yeah, so I think we should support them. I am of the firm belief you can't fight war, hope for the destruction of your enemy and continue being nice to them. You have to go all out, support the Baluchis, support the Pakhtuna area, support the Afghans, shake hands with Taliban. If they want an office, give them training, give them arms, ammunition, give them money, and they will definitely open a front, which anyway is a very dominant force ahead in front of Pakistan Army. So go all out with them actually. Announce it. We don't have to play cloak and dagger anymore. Announce it that yes,
in fact, in the last part of this show, we are going to have a focus on Balochistan. So I get it. We have to go out there, support them. Perhaps that will lead to the further fracturing of the Pakistani state, exposing them on another flank. So that's a good point. General Dhillon, the Israelis do it, why can't India do it? The moment we see those terror launch pads being populated, why can't we take preemptive action? Should we rule that out?
Rahul, exactly the point which Defence Minister made today, and we all are aware.
Okay.
Our Operation Sindoor has not been called off. Operation Sindoor is still ongoing, and we reserve the right to choose the target, choose the timing, and choose the matching weapon system. So you never know, something might happen tonight again. So our focus and our clarity is very much there. That we are not closed shop after the announcement of this agreement. We are very much in war. Our forces are very much ready.
So I'm hearing, I'm hearing, General Saab, that Pakistan has amassed a huge amount of tanks at a particular point on the LOC, etc. It's the bulge. What is that game? What are they doing? Why are they there?
These are posturing. They are, they are intelligence source for information or intelligence inputs which come in. One is the massing of the sources or the forces.
Right.
And second is the build-up of the ammunition trail. Then is the logistics build-up. Then is the evacuation casualty build-up. Then is the sporting arms and services build-up. Then, of course, is the Air Force build-up. So it takes a lot of planning and preparation and movements on ground to actually cross the line of control or international boundary.
So we don't need to be worried about that.
All these battle. I'll take 10 more seconds.
Yeah.
All these battle indicators in today's transparency in the battle space are coming to us in near real time. And when we realize that Pakistan is now ready to launch, again we reserve the right to preempt him and strike in his territory.
Okay.
Because Operation Sindoor has not been called off.
Okay, that's an interesting point, and I want to now bring in Dr. Ladwig and also Wing Commander Vinod. Wing Commander Vinod, first to you. Look, if you want to really put the deterrence message across and use non-kinetic means, and I'm asking you this question, should India rethink its nuclear posture of no first use?
Yeah, group captain interest, it doesn't matter.
Sorry, group captain.
Yeah,
sorry.
nuclear posture. See, in nuclear posturing, what we need to understand, Rahul and the viewers, is India is NFU, no first use. And second is, any NFU nation cannot say it is NFU unless its triad is fully complete. Triad in the sense, subsurface nuclear delivery, air to ground nuclear delivery, and surface to surface nuclear delivery. And we have all these three extremely strong. And that is what worries Pakistan a lot. Non-NFU, a rogue nation like Pakistan, can keep doing nuclear saber rattling, which if you in our discourse would never hear, because we are stated NFU country. So that is point number one. And quickly, a couple of things that we need to understand is, if you look at the air defense of Pakistan, at least on the face of it, it looks very good. In fact, they have something called an air defense command, in which their areas are divided into various air defense zones and what have you. So when we assessed the air defense capability of Pakistan, we probably gave them a lot more than what they deserve, and they showed themselves adequately in this, useless newspaper which they're flashing around. Our air defense is not in an air defense command. Our air defense is slightly different. But the manner in which Akash Tir, which is Army Air Defense, and IACCS, which is Integrated Air Command and Control Center, Air Force Air Defense, they mesh together, and the long range, medium range, and the short range vectors of Army and the Air Force, beautifully executed, is something which people will probably study for a long time to come.
Right.
But having said that, we gave them time to recuperate, Rahul. This ceasefire is the time to recuperate. Have they recuperated? Because next, post 18th, if they, and I'm sure they will, because rogue nation as they are, if they do, we should be able to give them much more than what we gave them. That is why he said, picture and be baki and let it go.
Yeah.
And second, it should not be the same thing that we gave them, because what we gave them, they would be prepared for.
Right.
So, I'm sure we have much more than what we gave them,
Well,
in terms of both procedurally and in terms of weapons. And one Su-30 carried 8 tons.
I
Three
got it.
Su-30s is good enough for main regions of Lahore. Imagine what a
Well-
276 Su-30 can do.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. There's obviously, look, yes, we have given them this time to recuperate, but Dr. Ladwig, let me ask you, India has asked the IAEC to seize Pakistan's nuclear arsenal. Do we have a strong case?
I think that's unlikely to happen. There's no historical precedent for that. The challenge of all of these non-proliferation and counter-proliferation tools we have is that they're essentially voluntary, right? You think about the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, which Pakistan and India are not part of, but North Korea exited it with no consequence and then went on to develop a nuclear arsenal. So none of these things have very robust enforcement or compliance forcing measures. So I think it's really unlikely that would happen.
So let me ask you, what do you think the Pakistanis are going to do next? I mean, we've given them this breather. They're going to try and recuperate, probably already are. What do you think they're going to do? Are they going to sit tight? Have they had the scare of their life?
I hope so. I hope they learn the lesson that the Indian Air Force is capable of precisely targeting terror infrastructure within Pakistan, that when they don't take the elevated operational risk that we saw on day one, because India wanted to send a very clear message that it was focused, exactly as General Dillon said, only on terrorist infrastructure, not on the Pakistani military per se. But when they went through the normal course of events and suppressed enemy air defenses, they showed that they had the ability to strike a range of air bases and that they could do this again. So one would hope that the lesson learned is that the capabilities are quite robust. You know, day one tactical successes should not confuse the broader strategic outcome, and that this is a game that, it's a self-defeating game to be played by a country that's on its 25th IMF bailout.
Well, viewers, you've heard the experts tonight. We're trying to second guess what Pakistan is going to do. I think we've established a deterrence here. One hopes at least that they have the sense to recognize that they are, as Dr. Ladwig also said, a broke economy really that can't continue down this path. Viewers, for long, very long, it has been clear, amply clear to me that Trump is only Trump's best friend. I remember a lot of Modi supporters and other so-called foreign policy experts going after me on social media when I said that Trump is unpredictable and cannot be trusted, must not be trusted. One of the reasons for this misplaced faith in Trump, and indeed other US presidents, is that there are many in this country who've bought into a myth. And the myth is that it doesn't matter who is in office in America, because the alliance between India and the United States is a natural one. It is institutionalized and impervious to interruption. Lily-livered, modern-day, reinvented Nehruvians will even tell you that we should not put Trump and America in the same basket, that Trump is an aberration on the American stage. He's different. To these I say, look at history. The real problem is US strategic culture. America has been inherently hegemonistic ever since it crossed the Atlantic in World War II. For America, interests are permanent, not friends. And that's why, in the long term, Indian and American interests are not aligned in the Indo-Pacific. Now, I'm happy to be corrected, viewers, and we're going to have a debate about that. But that we'll leave for a little later. For now, we've got Trump to deal with. And Trump is neck deep in water. In his first 100 days in office, his reign has been disastrous for America. The tariff war he launched has jolted the economy and made him deeply unpopular. Even his MAGA base is shaken. His popularity ratings are down. The worst for any president, just 100 days in office, and Trump desperately needs a success. So he's going around the Middle East, pawning American weapons for big dollars to tell his base back home he's making America rich again. He's so desperate that he even called on an Islamist that America had sanctioned in Syria. And that's also why he's saying the most bizarre things, like for example threatening Apple CEO Tim Cook to divest from India. Listen to this, viewers.
And I had a little problem with Tim Cook yesterday. I said to him, Tim, you're my friend. I treated you very good. You're coming in with $500 billion, but now I hear you're building all over India. I don't want you building in India. You can build in India if you want to take care of India, because India is the highest, one of the highest tariff nations in the world. It's very hard to sell into India. India can take care of themselves. They're doing very well. We want you to build here, and they're going to be upping their production in the United States. Apple. So Apple's already in for $500 billion.
Well, he just stabbed India in the back, because bringing jobs back to America is his big thing. It's his big promise. And to ensure he gets them back, Trump is desperate, so desperate that, as I told you, he's ready to jeopardize goodwill even with a close ally like India. Like here, when he's trying to extract unreasonable concessions and making India look weak. Listen to him again, viewers. It's another aspect.
And they've offered us a deal where basically they're willing to literally charge us no tariff. So we go from the highest tariff, you couldn't do business in India, we're not even a top 30 in India because the tariff is so high, to a point where they have actually told us, I assume you too, Scott, you were working on that also, that there will be no tariff, right? Would you say that's a difference? They're the highest and now they're saying no tariff.
Can you believe it, viewers? Can you believe it? He's even making Modi look bad, his great friend, the man he says was a hard negotiator, so that he can go back home and strut before the American people and said, look, I rubbed the tariff king's nose in the dirt. And it isn't just the economy, by the way. He's been a dud on the foreign policy front. Trump bragged he'd end Russia-Ukraine war in his first week in office, but it's dragging on despite his mediation. Desperate to look effective, more so because his gargantuan ego needs a massage, he muscled into the India-Pak conflict, declaring he imposed a peace. In doing so, he crossed many Indian red lines. The Modi-led NDA is silently seething. Let me tell you this, viewers. And it's only after a stern public message was sent out a few days ago that Trump walked the talk back a bit. Listen to these two sound bites. In the first comment made on the 12th of May, Trump says, we brokered a peace and it's going to last. Now on May 15th, after he was rebutted by the MEA, he diluted his stance, saying he doesn't want to say he did, but he definitely helped. Listen to this, viewers, and we're going to open this up right after that.
On Saturday, my administration helped broker a full and immediate ceasefire, I think a permanent one, between India and Pakistan, ending a dangerous conflict of two nations with lots of nuclear weapons. I don't want to say I did, but I sure as hell helped settle the problem between Pakistan and India last week, which was getting more and more hostile. And all of a sudden you'll start seeing missiles of a different type.
And now, viewers, you'd be tempted to say, it's classic Trump, ignore him, lying a bit, making up the facts a bit, hyping things a bit, only to make himself look good. What's new? While to some extent this is true, the fact is Trump has put India down. You don't do that to friends. And India must be prepared with a counter plan, a plan to counter Trump and in the long term deter America. Do we have one, viewers? Do we need one? What could it be? These are the questions I'm going to put to three real top-of-the-line experts. I have with me Ambassador Vora. He needs no introduction. Brahma Chellaney, Zorawar Daulat Singh, all these people need no introduction. So let me first begin with Brahma Chellaney and ask him, Brahma Chellaney, look, you may disagree with me. You may think I'm being a little too pessimistic. You may think that I've got it wrong about Trump. But give me reasons to say that I have. And I'll sit quiet. Because I don't see how anyone can see things differently from me. I think we've got a problem here. We've got a problem, and I don't know if we've got a plan.
Rahul, you raise key questions. I don't disagree with you.
Phew.
that the Trump administration's intervention during the brief India-Pakistan military conflict not only spared Pakistan from the consequences of its own actions, and I'm going by Trump's statements at face value, but Trump's utterances also damaged the foundation of US-India strategic trust. Trust in any partnership is forged during crises. It's at a crisis that you test a partnership, not in peacetime. And in the military crisis sparked by Pakistani trans-border attack on civilians in Belgaum, America chose to undercut India's response to terrorism by bailing out its major non-NATO ally. Pakistan has remained America's major non-NATO ally since the presidency of George W. Bush. So I think in a way, India should thank Trump for delivering a jarring wake-up call. This is a realignment moment for Indian foreign policy. It will force India to start absorbing the hard lesson that no partnership, no matter how warm in rhetoric, can replace strategic self-reliance. The next phase of Indian foreign policy must be guided by interests, not delusions. But I think there's also a larger question that we should not forget, because we should always look at the mirror and ask whether it's because of some feelings of ours. Why is it that we get repeatedly betrayed by friend and foe? Why is it? Is it because Indian leaders fail to learn from history, so history keeps repeating itself? No. Is it because of zeal? Is it because of excessive personalization of policy and strategic naivete? This is the second stab in the back moment for Modi. The first came 5 years ago when, after spending how many, 5 years, 6 years, building personal rapport with Xi Jinping, holding 18 meetings with Xi Jinping stabs in the back by covertly encroaching on key borderlands in Ladakh. You know, it goes back to Nehru. Remember the famous words of Nehru when China attacked India in October 1962? True. He said China had returned evil for good. Evil for good. Why is it that our foes keep returning evil for good? Why is it even our friends betray us? I think we should also be debating that part.
Okay, so we'll take that in parts. But Mr. Vora, let me bring you in. Do we have a counter plan to someone like Trump? And what could it be?
Thank you very much, sir. Always a pleasure to be on your channel. And you yourself, of course, are outstanding. I just heard Mr. Chellaney, and then I'm going to listen to Mr. Dalit Singh. You have these two experts here. What do you need me for? their expertise and knowledge is much greater than mine. Modest. Let me just tell you that that's a slip of the tongue. Donald Trump, although he is actually McDonald Trump. One of the things about this man, I've met him, I've been on deployment with this character when he came to India. Let me just say that he suffers, as many Americans will tell you, and as you yourself know, he suffers from what we call the narcissistic personality. I, me, myself, everything is him, 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 him. Then he's looking, as you rightly pointed out, for something to sell his people when he goes back. What is he selling his people? I think 4 or 5 years ago, Mohammed bin Salman had been to the White House, his first or second visit that year. And Trump was showing the media a list. He had got a chart. This guy has bought so much. He's bought so much of this, so much of this, so much of this. And then he was saying, all right, come and spend some more money. You can afford it. Now, he is a salesman for his country. Nobody has any dispute with that. Just as the Prime Minister of India is a salesman for Bharat. There is no question about it. But may I just say, sir, that we don't need to respond to everything he says. Mr. Chellaney, we are totally familiar. We have the best foreign service ever. Let me assure you that we know we cannot depend on anybody, sir. We depend on ourselves. What do you think Atmanirbhar Bharat is all about? What do you think 2 out of every 3 weapons that are used in India are now made in India? What do you think 100 countries want weapons from India? What do you think the demand for BrahMos, after it was proved recently, and for Akash Tir is? We are aware of this, sir. Please credit us collectively, not me. I'm the worst example, but the other people like our foreign minister and others, we are aware of what is happening, and we know that ultimately it has to be, we have to stand on our own strength. May I just conclude, sir, before the other colleague comes in, that what we are seeing, I call him the Baron of business, Donald Trump, because of the art of the deal. He's a deal maker, and he'll sell anything for a deal, he'll buy anything for a deal. So the Baron of business has met the Nawab of negotiation, Narendra Modi. Narendra Bhai Modi is a Gujarati, sir. He has business in his genes. So when they talk and he says India is going to have zero tariff on certain items, sure, it'll be the mother of all trade deals. It's not going to hurt us badly. But if you start underplaying, downplaying, if you try to give a clean chit to the fellow who, that terrorist country that wiped the vermilion of 26 partings of the hair of our daughters, then you are going somewhere else. When you had 9/11, sir.
But hasn't he done that in a sense? I
mean, of course he has done it. Of course. But what I'm saying is, what I was going to say is that when they had 9/11, we stood by them, sir. That day I was an American. We were all Americans because they were hit and we didn't like it and we offered to help and do what we can. But this guy is so absorbed with himself. Again, sir, please remember, he is the president of the most powerful country in the world, the largest economy, very powerful military, knowledge economy, etc., etc. So what we have done is, when we respond to what he is saying, you invite me for dinner, sir, and you say, oh, you tweet that the biryani was wonderful, but I didn't have biryani, I only had chapatis. I'm not going to say that you are speaking the untruth. I'll simply tweet and say the chapatis were wonderful. So we give our message with considerable finesse. Sir, to the millions of people who watch your show, trust us, we are the children of Chanakya. We know how to deal with fellows like this without compromising our national interest.
Okay, so you believe that perhaps this is just, since he is the Baron of the deal or what have you, he's just, he's upping the stakes.
Yes.
Is that really what you're saying?
The day you decide that you'll buy all his weapons and his aircraft and whatever, you'll see a totally different Trump. He has to tell his people.
But why should we have to do that?
Thank you very much. That's precisely it. That's the message we are giving him. Okay. That you want to be friends, don't link the friendship to a deal. Okay. Don't convert diplomacy into trade.
Okay, that's a very interesting point. That's the message we've given him. You could say that the foreign... The spokesperson of the foreign ministry came out and rebutted him, and after that we've seen a bit of a climb down from Trump. He's getting the message. But Zorawar Daulat saying, I have to ask you this, a lot will depend really if we can live without America in the short or the long term. We can, of course, exercise a bit of belligerence diplomatically with Trump only if we have the option of decoupling from it militarily and in trade. Now, are we there as yet? Or we have a long way to go, so we'll have to suck it up for a while, and that's what we should do. Be pragmatic, suck it up, don't concede ground, but don't respond, don't get into, what Zelensky and him got into, this sort of fest, which he loves. This is what he feeds off. So, just look the other way.
Rahul, no, I believe that this crisis, like any major international crisis, always reveals some really intricate features of international politics. So India often, as the past has shown, kind of gets these reality checks every few years. Sometimes it happens over decades, sometimes every cycle. What is the United States really telling you? It's saying that you are a strategic partner, but we also have this other long-standing ally in South Asia. There's the Pakistan army. You're not going to hurt it too badly. Its prestige matters to us. But all this comes from a geopolitical framework that the United States sort of has adhered to. So, we're tempted to think that this is just Trump making these reckless remarks, his narcissism, and we can tide it over. But if you look at the pre-Trump period, particularly the last 5 years, what have we faced? I'm talking in South Asia. We faced a major China crisis. Yes, there's been some element of US support, but on the whole, India was primarily on its own.
Yeah.
You've seen Bangladesh, a friendly regime, toppled under our nose by the Biden administration. That was one of its last parting slaps on the Indian face. So when Trump comes in, who's briefing him? You can use all kinds of nomenclature, deep state, establishment. There is a hard, deep framework for South Asia. The President of the United States has no knowledge of this subcontinent. He's merely parroting what he's being told.
Yeah.
And why is America at this time, when there's so many things up in the air in international politics, putting pressure on India? I think it comes from two factors. One, they have seen over the period of the past 10 years, despite this glowing sort of attempt by the Indian side to build a partnership, ultimately India was not selling itself out. It was not bending to US diktats, whether the Ukraine war, even on China policy.
Absolutely.
They want a subservient state, a larger Pakistan. They want a Philippines, they want a Korea, Australia. So this was a way to sort of cut India down to size. And I think if you look at the outplay of this crisis, I think there's some very important insights to be gauged, because the first 72 hours, you had a lot of Western observers, even the White House and the team, sort of looking back and seeing how can these guys slug it out, and we wouldn't mind India being cut down to size. But the Indian response in the penultimate hour, the 11th hour, kind of saved the day, and I think sent a message that we are not going to be your little sort of, your sub-regional games. We have our own geopolitical framework. So coming back to your point, how do you respond to this? You can't look the other way. There are people who are saying that, I'm not talking of obviously making noise, but in substance, Indian statecraft should not be just looking at this as a transactional president. This is the United States adapting to a multipolar world, and it's seeing who is going to support it in this confrontation that it has with other great powers. Now, India said, we are not engaged and interested in your great power competition. We have our own ambitions. We are a regional power. We have our developmental goals, and we have a core security problem on our two fronts. And you guys are interested in sort of, playing the old game and extracting trade tariffs. And so what is the lesson? That in a multipolar world, you've got to have a multiplicity of strategic partners. And I think it's quite clear who are the strongest ones, who are the ones who are going to sort of kick you around and exploit you at your time of weakness. And of course, you have your adversaries.
What is the counter plan? I'm not getting you. So, look, I'm not for a moment saying that when we look away, we are conceding. No, I'm just saying don't fall for the bait. Don't take the bait. That's all I'm saying. But that can't be a strategy for the next 4 years. I mean, surely not. So there is going to be a time when we are going to say, well, Mr. Trump, take it or leave it, or lump it. Do you see that happening? Are we in a position to do that? Or will that be catastrophic?
Nobody's arguing for a breakdown of the Indo-US relationship.
Right.
But when you have a tipping point in the international system, and the US itself is renegotiating the terms of so many of its relationships with friends and allies and adversaries, I think India can't play the old game to just tide it out. It also has to push back and find what is that new normal with the United States.
So very quickly,
it can't live in the delusion that the United States is going to make you into a great power.
Okay,
I think that chapter is closed.
I've got 1 minute, so I want 30 seconds. Mr. Brahma Chellaney, is that moment now when we go back to the drawing board and we tell America we are not accepting this tariff deal in the way we are probably negotiating it? Should we start there? Yes, no. Very quickly, sir.
Are you asking me?
No, Mr. Brahma Chellaney, then I'll come to you. Yes.
Well, I think the key lesson is that India's future strategy must be rooted in self-reliance, built on diversified partnerships and guided by interests rather than illusions, rather than relying on personal equations.
Okay,
I
think we're all on the same page on that one, but if that were the case, and if we have to be realistic and hard-nosed about it, should we make a gentle pushback now on this tariff deal? Should we say, excuse me, we're not going to go down to zero, if that is, of course, if we have agreed to. Yeah, that's what he's saying.
But we compartmentalize our relationship with all countries. We have a military relationship, that's not going to be impacted by what the fellow says. We have a trade relationship, that's not going to be impacted by what we are doing in the military. We have a bilateral agreement on this, that won't be impacted. So once you compartmentalize, you insulate the relationship, the different elements against the other. I think we're on the right track, sir. We're not going to respond in a fury. It doesn't help.
It doesn't help. That's also not India's strategic culture in any case. It might be Trump's, and he might actually be the aberration. But I actually do share Zorawar Daulat Singh's pessimism. I think this is a deeper problem with America. It is a hegemonistic, deeply, inherently hegemonistic country. And that informs its strategic outlook. We leave it at that, viewers. It's a long-term problem. We'll have to deal with it by perhaps strengthening ourselves. But thank you very much for watching this part of the show. I want to now get to another important aspect. And I'll quickly read through this, viewers. It's a quick, sharp opinion. It's a fight against genocidal repression, and it calls for justice is echoing through the rugged mountains of Balochistan. The people of this province never wanted to be a part of Pakistan post-1947, but Pakistan annexed the region through a forced instrument of accession. Since then, for far too long, Baluchistan, rich in natural resources yet stripped by the greed of its oppressors, has been silenced. Torture, disappearances and economic plunder have defined Pakistan's brutal hold. Now, Mir Yar Baloch, the exiled leader of the Free Balochistan movement, senses the time is right to take the movement for self-determination to its logical end, declaring independence from Pakistan. Not only is the Pakistan army at its lowest ebb, but the Baloch freedom movement has crossed the threshold of no return. The cry for self-dignity has acquired such moral weight that Mir's words can't be ignored, least of all by nations such as India. And he says, we have claimed our independence and we request India to allow Balochistan's official office, an embassy in Delhi. We ask the United Nations to recognize the independence of the Democratic Republic of Balochistan and call a meeting of all UN members to lend support for recognition. There must be a release of billions of funds for currency and passport printing, unquote. Truth be told, it's not Kashmir, but Balochistan that is Pakistan's jugular vein. Remember that, viewers. If it is cut, that jugular vein, the Pakistan state will be imperiled. Baluchistan is Pakistan's second largest supplier of natural gas. Baluchistan possesses significant reserves of copper, gold and uranium. Baluchistan's vast resources fuel for Pakistan's overall economic growth. Baluchistan shares borders with Iran, Afghanistan, key for Pak border security. Baluchistan is a critical location for CPEC connecting Pakistan to China. Cut that, you've got the run of the place. India, a champion of democracy and the rights of oppressed people, stands at a pivotal crossroads. Should it recognize Baluchistan as an independent state? This isn't the first time it would be called upon to ponder such a question. In the 50s, India recognized Tibet and became a second home for the Tibetan government in exile, as also the home of the Dalai Lama. India also became one of the first nations in the world to give diplomatic recognition to Palestine. If its decision to secure Tibet and Palestine was guided by morality, then strategy could easily guide India's hand with regard to Baluchistan. Look at the map. If Baluchistan were to ever split from Pakistan, just look at the map, viewers, there it is. The latter would lose 40% of its landmass, but more than the obvious diminution of Pakistan, an independent Baluchistan opens a critical geostrategic corridor to Iran and Central Asia. It also disrupts China's economic ambitions in the region, especially the CPEC artery through Gwadar port. You can see that. India has long heard the whispers from Baloch soil. Today, it hears a full-throated declaration. Tomorrow, it could be a new alliance built not on politics alone, but on the shared dream of freedom. I'll leave it at that.
Presented by This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Situation in Balochistan seems to be spiraling out of control. There's a major crackdown by the Pakistani army is what we're learning. Internet and electricity have been shut down. There are new counter-insurgency operations that have started. This after the Pakistani army had to face the wrath of the Indian army, the attacks on Pakistani military bases by Indian side. Operation Sindoor has all rattled Pakistani army, which is now prompting them to target Baloch activists, Baloch leaders in Balochistan. Top Baloch sources have now told CNN News 18 that Pakistan military, after its defeat from India in Operation Sindoor, is escalating its excesses, is shifting focus from the eastern border to Balochistan now. These are the same tactics that we had seen in the past as well. This was done right after the 1999 Kargil war, post Balakot in 2019. After India's airstrikes, we had seen how the Pakistani army, in an attempt to redeem itself, had shifted its focus, tried to hit back at unarmed activists, at civilians in Balochistan. Remember, enforced disappearances in Balochistan, Army's excesses in Balochistan have been making headlines for decades together. Now it looks like the Pakistani army is repeating that particular pattern after its loss, after the kind of defeat it had to face after Operation Sindoor by India. We are getting you more voices from Balochistan to give us more details of what exactly is transpiring there, what the situation looks like. But for long, the Balochi people have been standing up against the civilian government in Pakistan, as well as the military establishment. The Pakistani military has been accused of excesses in Balochistan, of enforced disappearances as well. Now it looks like to try and redeem itself from what happened after Operation Sindoor, Pakistani army is shifting its focus back to Balochistan. Anand, my colleague, now joins us, getting us more details on this. Anand, what more can you tell us? What exactly is happening in Balochistan?
Well, Manoj Kumar Gupta getting us these assessments, even as there are many Baloch leaders who are turning towards Bharat and say that there is a Bharat-Baloch connection and that Bharat should openly support any movement by the Baloch to break free from what the Baloch claim to be forced occupancy of their lands, their territory, their minerals, their resources by the Pakistani army since 1948. The Baloch struggle is a long one, nearly 7 decades now. But now, right now, the immediate assessment is that the Pakistani army is now going to turn onto the Baloch and to try and mount a massive, what they would call a counter-insurgency move to break hell upon and unleash wrath upon the people of Balochistan, to try and somewhere gloss over the humiliation that they have faced because of the decimation that Pakistan has faced at the hands of Bharat. Now, and to try and salvage and divert the attention again. So if a Pahalgam massacre was a distraction from the Baloch problem and what happened with the Jafar Express issue, now again, because of the decimation of their air bases and also these entire terror tanzeem's headquarters at the hands of Bharat, in 90 hours, Pakistan was brought to heel and brought to its knees by the Bharatiya Armed Forces. They will turn towards the Baloch people. Why? There is a history to this. In 1999, post the Kargil conflict, there was unprecedented amount of military barbarism, dehshatgardi by the Wardi, the Pakistani Wardi, on the Baloch people, and that is documented. And that was to try and tide over the humiliation of the Kargil conflict, and again to try and say that we are just countering insurgents. Then again, in the case of in 2006, when Bukti had died, after that also they tried to blame it on the Baloch groups, and once again a huge counter-insurgency was unleashed, and people, there are pictures which CNN News 18 has put out in the past where
Hello, Namaskar. This is First Post and you're watching Vantage with me, Palki Sharma.